All right, well, thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here today. I'm going to share with you the backyard project that I've been working on, transforming a backyard heat island into a cool oasis. And this is a project for the Sierra Club California Water Committee, the Water Conservation Workshop today. And thank you so much, Sierra Club, for helping with this project. Here is my backyard before. As you can see, there was nothing there except a bunch of junk. And we had an old frame from one of those garage shelters in the backyard. There was some construction debris left over from previous work done on the home that wasn't picked up after they left. And there were some small items left from my last failed attempt to have a garden, which failed the last time. We had an atmospheric river come through and it kind of wiped out all my plants. So on the right, you will see a little puddle on the water on the bottom there where there's a little pipe, and I will show you a close-up. We have an air conditioning unit. It's an older unit, and it had the drip pipe located next to the chimney of the house. And this is for the condensation water that comes off the air conditioning unit. So it is safe to use for irrigation. But the water was just running down the side of the house. So we contacted the landlord because it was kind of damaging the house, and he hired some people to come out, and he told them some specific directions on how he wanted it done. He wanted them to extend this pipe to come all the way to the backyard because there's a drain in the ground right there in that corner, and they just left the pipe like hanging in the air. So during the summertime, when we have to use the air conditioner, the water just drips constantly. And I thought that's kind of a waste of water. So we were hoping to put something there, but we had no idea what to use. We discovered when we got one of the collapsible rain barrels from the Sierra Club that was like a perfect place to put it in terms of the design of the rain barrel itself could capture that water. But the ground underneath that specific spot is very damaged and it's not even, and you have to set the collapsible rain barrel on a flat surface. So it didn't work out. But we did try, and we know how to fix it now, but it's going to require the building of a small platform in that space to hold a rain barrel. So that is on our future to-do list. So here we're getting ready to start working on the backyard project. We had to start measuring the space, so we have the correct measurements. Started looking around at what do we have that we could reuse. So here we have some hooks and an old hanging basket frame that the coconut shell liner inside was, I think it got rotten and had to be thrown out. But the metal part is good. We have a whole bunch of really colorful pots that I have been collecting over the years. All of these, most of these were purchased from discount stores like 99-cent store. Every now and then, if you go there, you'll find some great deals on some beautiful little pots. Others were given to me. And the bigger ones on the left were ones I had bought before. They're meant to be repainted, so they're kind of beat up right now, but I can always repaint those. And that metal frame there with the little decorative filigrees on it, that was left by a previous tenant. So I decided to keep it, and I purchased this, I was just very fortunate to find this glass bowl that fit the top. And for a long time, I was using that as a bird bath. So it's still in perfect condition, just needed to be cleaned up. So here we are, we're starting to rearrange the furniture, trying to separate all the parts that we're going to be reusing with stuff that either needs to be fixed up, cleaned up, or discarded. And the only stuff we discarded was stuff that was really like just rotten and falling apart. So then we started with the cleanup, and there was a lot of cleanup. We had a lot of sweeping to do to get rid of embedded dirt that had been stuck into the concrete for years and years. Cleaning up little individual pots and decorations. And there used to be a wooden fence, gate. It wasn't a gate, it was just like a standalone fence thing that I don't know who built it, was using it to block off the breezeway. And that thing had fallen apart a long, long time ago. But I saved all the boards because I thought there's got to be a way to reuse this stuff. So we went ahead and we cleaned it off. My daughter and I, we scrubbed it down really good. And we propped it up against the side of the house to let everything dry. So then we got our very first rain barrel, which is these little collapsible rain barrels. And thanks to Sierra Club, we got two. We got a small one and the slightly larger one. We set those up. Our neighborhood in Montebello has had a problem with mosquitoes and mosquito-borne illness, so we wanted to make sure that the holes were, the rain barrels were completely inaccessible to mosquitoes. So you can see that the holes in the barrel itself are a little bit large. So we were able to find these mesh coverings that are just perfect. They fit perfectly. They have a little drawstring. You just pull it tight, and I haven't seen any mosquitoes since we set this up. So this is the water we got after the very first storm that came through during that atmospheric river that just came through here. There are no gutters on this side of the house. The water is just pouring off the roof. So we were wondering, well, how much water can these barrels actually collect? Well, you can see right here, the larger barrel was almost full after one storm. The smaller barrel was almost full too. And so we just measured, I think I have these backwards here, but we measured the depth to see how much water we collected, and we were like, okay, we got to keep an eye on this because we have several more storms coming, and these barrels are going to overflow. So then we decided, let's get going on the cleaning up of furniture. So we used a solution of vinegar to start off. Well, first we just dry brushed it with a very soft bristle brush that we bought. And then we gave it a good cleaning with some vinegar, used a little bit of soap in the places where the dirt was need a little extra help. And then there were some mildew stains that we went ahead and used some baking soda to try to get those out. We did it the best we could, and luckily this furniture had a faux stone look to it. So even with the little minor defects, it was acceptable. It didn't look that bad. So now we had to put something on that canopy, on the frame. So my husband ordered online a white canopy. It's a heavy-duty canopy that should last a lot longer than any of the others we've tried. It's specially made for to reflect the solar rays, and it's also got some sort of flame retardant on it because people in my neighborhood tend to be pyromaniacs. And we get a lot of fireworks, and just a few weeks ago, people were lighting off Chinese lantern-style balloons, and one of them landed in my neighbor's yard. So, okay, let's go with the higher-end product so that we don't have to worry too much about what our neighbors are doing. And this is what it looked like just after putting up the tarp. The tarp alone did a tremendous job of keeping everything tidy from the rain and gave me a nice, more protected place in order to work. So here we go. Our rain barrels are getting to the top where water's actually coming out of the holes. So we're like, well, we want to keep collecting rain, so what are we going to do? I said, well, I got these older trash cans in the back. I'm going to clean them out. Unfortunately, they have little holes in the bottom, but we had bought some contractors' trash bags, which are really heavy-duty plastic, that we plan to reuse over and over again because they're really high quality. I love them. You can use them for all kinds of things. So I thought, well, I'm going to go ahead and clean these out, and we'll line them with the trash bags, and we'll just do an emergency transfer of water out of the actual rain barrels into these trash cans. So here goes the process. I had to tape the bags in place so they wouldn't fall all the way into the can. And we filled up one can. We actually filled up 2 of these cans. And there they are. And they are now completely sealed all the way around with duct tape to keep anything out and to preserve the water for the summertime when we're going to need it. So after all those rainstorms that we had, we realized we've got mud. It's coming from our ivy that's planted along the walls on 2 sides of the yard. So the mud was just like flowing and coming down through the middle of the project site, which meant that we've got some more cleaning to do. So what we did was we were going to go get some sandbags, and I told my husband, why? We have all these reusable grocery bags that delivery people had been dropping off at our house. So we just grabbed some of those delivery bags, and we had a couple of bags of leftover sand and some expired bags of potting soil from a long time ago. So we just used what we had and just filled up these grocery bags and shut them tight with zip ties. And so now all of these little bags, they did a wonderful job keeping the mud back. The water still came through, but the mud was held back. And they're still in the backyard in a special place to be reused again every time there's a storm. So now we're thinking, okay, we want to continue to work on how do we make this cooler in the summertime, more inviting in the wintertime. So I did some research online, looked at all these different products, and for our price range, I found these recycled plastic rugs. They're made from recycled plastic jars and soda bottles. And they're meant to be outdoors. They're meant to be easily cleaned. And I thought, well, that's a good idea. And the length was just right. We were able to purchase 3 of them, and they fill the entire space under the canopy. So now I'm looking for, okay, my plants. What am I going to do with my plants? I was a little concerned about the plants because our yard gets visited by a lot of different types of animals. Mostly feral cats, but I have often surprised, walked out in the backyard to be like, there's a raccoon in my backyard. Sometimes there's a whole family of raccoons in my backyard. We've seen skunks. We've seen possums. Occasionally some unpleasant little rats and mice, but they don't last long as the cats, so they don't hang out there anymore. And I thought, well, I got to find a way to protect these, mostly from the raccoons, because I don't want to encourage raccoons to be visiting the yard. So I had this cat playpen left over from my days when I was able to have indoor cats, which unfortunately I can't anymore. And I used to do some fostering of animals. So I thought, well, let's reuse this, see if we can do something with it. Because these doors, it's got 2 doors, one on the bottom and one on the top, and they can be closed. And if needed, we can always put a lock on them. So I thought this would be a good place to keep plants that the animals might want to try to get into, either because they want to eat them or lay inside them, or I might have something that's poisonous for an animal and I want to keep it out of the way for a while till I can find a new place for it. So we cleaned it up and we moved it into our space to have it ready. And here's a couple of new residents in there. And the best thing about it is it's on wheels. So here's that hanging plant hanger before and after. We got a new replacement for it. It is still waiting for a resident, but we're going to be doing that pretty soon. So then I was going back to those boards. And yesterday I decided, okay, these boards, I need a little bit of a privacy screen to block the view from the street, because our little gated area in the back there is it's a little too open for view, and I want to make sure that people aren't looking in. And I wanted to create a more separate space to for storage. So we just kind of tacked all these pieces together. They had already been washed, and we stood it upright. It is connected to another storage area that we had in the back there, so we just were able to affix it to that area pretty good, so it's not going to come down. And I like it because it gives me a little more security, and it seems like it's going to really work out well. So here's another view. You can see it's starting to work out. It already looks nice. And I just wanted to point out we had those 3 pots in the back that we purchased ourselves. We went to this really wonderful little place that has all this Talavera style Mexican pottery. And we found some perfect pots that we were going to use to put larger plants. And they're standing on little metal stands so that will keep them off the ground and will give them a little more height. So here's the unveiling. There's the cat cage, and you can see we kind of snazzed it up a bit with all these things were stuff that I had at home. The plants those are almost all brand new plants that we purchased with the help of Sierra Club. The electric candles were provided by my daughter, and those 2 candlesticks were wonderful finds at our local Goodwill store. Very inexpensive. On the other side, I already had the lantern, and I already had this piece of fabric to hide the pipes on the side of the garage. There's the little love seat that was already a part of our backyard. All I did was I put a little rug on it, and those tiger pillows were another wonderful find from Goodwill, so they were also a really good bargain. And we just had these little wine bottles, 2 different colored wine bottles we put there with some fairy lights in. And the fairy lights were from Daiso. They were very, very inexpensive. And this is what it looked like all together at night. And it was just gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. So here's a better view of the pots. On the left is a banana plant. We chose a banana plant because we want to be able to provide food for our family and share with our neighbors. And banana is one of the foods right now that will be really good for my health recovery. The middle, we allowed our daughter to pick one that she wanted to pick her own little tree. So she picked a boysenberry plant because we thought, well, we've never tried that. Let's try that. So that's going to actually be a very large plant once it grows. And on the far right is an avocado tree, another tree that I'm going to need for my own health nutrition needs, because I've been looking forward to have my own avocado tree. I grew up with a neighbor behind us who had an avocado tree. They had a full-size avocado tree, and that thing was beautiful. And I used to envy them because they could go in their backyard and get avocados whenever they wanted to. All of these are dwarf plants. They're meant to be grown in containers. So once they get bigger, these pots will be these pots will be their permanent homes. Here's a few more looks of the backyard. You can see in this one photo the rug, how it looks when it's down. At first, it's a little hard to see because it matches the concrete pretty well. But I like that; it kind of blends in. Here's another view of our yard. We've got those two big plastic bins in the back, the green one and the red one. Those are going to be raised garden beds. We didn't get a chance to get that finished yet because I need to build cat barriers and raccoon barriers to keep whatever I'm growing safe. I'm working on one project for, I'm halfway done with the cat cage for one of them, and I need to work on the other one. But that's where we're going to grow either food vegetables or some sort of flowering plants. We're hoping to get a few natives. And we still have some large pots left over in the back, and there's still plenty of room here to put more things. We found a place that sells manzanita trees, which I really, really wanted, but we're going to have to order them because they didn't have them yet. So we weren't able to get those in time. Here's a few more views. I don't know if you can see this terracotta one right here on the bottom, on the right. This little plant was outside. This is a cilantro plant. And I had it outside of the cage. And one day I came out there and it was squashed. And I put it someplace safe and it bounced back. And I thought, okay, let me put it back out. And it got squashed again. And that's when I realized that somebody had decided it was going to sleep on this little plant. So that's why he's in this protected cage from now on. So today the storm was coming again. And I took this picture to also show you that all the way around the structure, I already had a piece of clothesline that my daughter and I put up ourselves, and it went all the way around the entire structure. And we set it up so that we can just use clothespins from now on to hold anything we want up there and do a really quick on and off. So in the summertime, when it gets warmer, we can hang dampened towels or small blankets or sheets, and that will produce an air conditioning effect, like a swamp cooler. The cool air as it evaporates off the fabric will cool the air around the structure. I'm also going to order what are called it's a Mexican style pottery. Actually, different cultures have the similar thing. They're usually referred to as ollas. And it's a large, round terracotta pot with usually a little narrow chimney. And you fill it with water, which is what we probably would be able to use some of the rainwater to put into an olla for storage. But during the summer, the plain terracotta, unglazed terracotta sweats. And that releases humidity into the air and also produces a cooling effect. So I found a place that is willing to order me the type of olla that I'm looking for, because I wasn't able to find one exactly like how I wanted. Because the rounder it is, the better it is. It needs the most surface space in order to produce that cooling effect. So we're getting ready to pack up everything just to get through this next rainstorm, because I didn't want these little rugs to get dirty. If hopefully it's not going to be enough rain to cause another little mudslide in our backyard, but I thought it would be easier to just roll them back up and put them in the garage. Again, these are very, very lightweight, very easy to move. I did all of this today by myself, just moving stuff around. So there's the rugs all ready to go in the garage. There's the cat cage on wheels. I moved it in. And there's the structure, and you can see some water underneath. And that's the end of the presentation. Thank you very much.